Kenya. This country in the east of Africa is charming with all of its diversity. The spectacular landscapes provide a home for various wildlife. Tradition and modernity meet each other here. Whether it's a vast desert lake or an endless savanna. From big animals to dozens of small ones. Kenya is filled with many beautiful contrasts. The coast of Kenya, on the Indian Ocean, has more to offer than just dreamy beaches. From Malindi, we go south to the town of Shimoni on the Tanzanian border. Tiwi Beach, 26 kilometers south from Mombasa. This is where the 20-year-old Maisha Madrugada lives.
Here where we are in Tiwi, we have the Tiwi Turtle Police Project. Our mission is to educate and empower the youth of the African continent in general about the importance of wildlife conservation, so that we can all benefit from each other as wildlife and humans, and also live in harmony.
Under cover of darkness, the turtles crawl onto the beach. They are looking for a safe place to lay their eggs. Maisha and her parents founded the Turtle Police in 2018. Night after night, the members search the beach for females laying eggs in order to protect them. As crabs, for example, love to eat the eggs. They find the first sign of a trail. Turtles are picky animals. If it is too quiet or too loud, they will look for another place. That's why we are only allowed to film them with red light. It takes about 3 hours for this female to bury her more than 100 eggs.
She needs about 3 hours a day, right?
Yes.
And then she goes back?
Yes. If she found a good spot, she takes advantage of those hours and then goes back to the ocean.
After her work is done, the mother is in a hurry. She still has to go back into the water with the tide. At low tide, the water is far away, and the mother has to wait for the next high tide.
The turtle species we have here are green turtles, loggerheads, and hawksbills. Those are the most common ones that we see. The green turtles are the most common ones. Regardless, the population of turtles worldwide has decreased immensely. All turtles are endangered. All species of turtles, unfortunately, are endangered.
6 a.m. on an empty beach, the Turtle Police start to patrol. The first task is to confirm whether the female turtle from last night have buried her eggs in a safe place. In Kenya, Swahili and English are the most widely spoken languages. Many people switch back and forth.
The sand is not as sandy as it should be for a nest. We would rather just translocate them to a location we know for sure that they're safe.
the animal rights activists use a stick to locate the eggs.
Using these sticks, we found that the nest is 42 centimeters deep. This measurement shows us how deep the artificial nest should be.
These are some kind of the things the turtle police has to come across when we're doing beach cleanups. I just found this while we were digging up the nest, funny enough. But yeah, syringes and needles of all kind.
Trash endangers the lives of the offspring just as much as roots or a spot too close to the water. That's why all the eggs are carefully dug up, so that every little turtle can find its way to the sea when they hatch in 4 weeks. Saeed has been caring for the turtles for decades, long before the turtle police existed.
In the past, the natives here used to eat turtle meat. They believed that eating turtles helped against ailments like the flu, coughs and chest pains. But in reality, it was destructive.
Today, fishermen believe that a healthy reef is a lot more lucrative because it attracts tourists. On the way to a better place for the eggs, the animal activists pick up garbage lying around. Since this also endangers the turtles, they get tangled up in it or eat it. When a safe place is found, the animal rights activists put the eggs in a hole that is exactly as deep as the one dug by the mother.
We put the topsoil on top of the shovel. It will then be returned to the ground, since it comes from below. And then we place the eggs on top of the soil. Once we're done with the eggs, the soil that was on top of the nest goes back on top.
"80 kilometers north of Tiwi lies the Arabuko-Sokoke forest, one of the last remnants of Africa's once huge coastal forests. It once stretched from Somalia to Mozambique. Today, only a small remnant remains, and even that is being cleared by the population out of necessity. Some animals live exclusively here, such as this extremely shy golden-rumped elephant shrew. Tribes from the region maintain their traditions here. Mwaka Mwatsuma comes to the forest every day.
I love the Arabuko forest, but when I come, I have only one goal, and that's butterflies.
20% of all the birds and butterfly species in Kenya can be found here in the Arabuko-Sokoke forest. Mwaka and her 2 colleagues run a butterfly farm. They collect adult butterflies and sell their pupae at a special market. The butterflies don't like heat. That's why you can only find them in the early hours of the morning. Mwaka has found a good place for her first trap.
And if I place alcohol here, they come, thinking it is food. A butterfly becomes intoxicated when it drinks from it. Then it flies to the top and stays there until I come back.
A male butterfly. Uninteresting. It can't lay any eggs.
My life has really changed. Before this, I had no job. My husband was the only one working, but he only earned a little, and at the end of the day, I managed to get into the butterfly business. I benefited from this greatly. I am educating my children, and I helped my husband to build a house. I don't bother my husband with small problems anymore. When I get money, I use it. When I finish setting up the traps, I look for a shady spot just like this one. We'll come here to sit and drink our water. We mingle with our friends and exchange ideas about butterflies or businesses.
During Mwaka's lunch break, Mijikendas practice one of their welcoming dances. The Mijikendas are an ethnic group found on the coast of Kenya. They are deeply connected to their land and the forest. Nature is their livelihood and is sacred to them. They have successfully resisted attempts at proselytizing by Muslim or Christian missionaries. They are especially known for their dances and traditional rituals. Collectors often find various swallowtail and emperor butterflies. If you do it right, the butterflies can even be touched. They even survive being transported in an envelope.
I'm used to it. I hold it firmly in the middle. When you hold it on the end, it can break.
Through the sale of butterfly pupae, the people in Arabuko have an income and are less dependent on the valuable wood reserves. Ultimately, the protection of the forest secures their livelihood. Mwaka takes care of her children, grandchildren, and many other relatives with whom she lives in a small settlement.
I used to have a mud house that was covered with palm leaves. Now we have a stone house with an iron roof. We support each other, a little bit from my husband and a little from my earnings, with the butterflies.
In her garden, Mwaka builds a net cage where she keeps the butterflies until they have laid their eggs.
When I came home from work, my children asked me, "What do you want with those butterflies?" I told them we would go to the farm and build them a nest. Then I showed them the food that the butterflies will eat from the tree. I hope for my children that they will have a good life in the future, and that some of them will also be able to do this work. I think it will take 1 to 2 days until they lay their eggs. And another month until the eggs turn into pupae.
On the coast of the Arabuko forest lies Mida Creek, a natural paradise that is home to many migratory birds in the winter months. At its heart is the mangrove forest. The trees are real survivors. They grow in places where other plants usually give up, in salt water. There they provide effective protection against flooding and are huge CO2 reservoirs. Their importance for climate protection is therefore enormous. Just 20 kilometers north of Maida Creek in Kilifi comes a young activist fighting for the environment. Fadili Tsuma has motivated the youth of his hometown to take part in regular garbage collection campaigns.
My friends and others who have understood what we're trying to do here have decided to help us.
Yeah, so friends and friends of friends and others were motivated to
The people who come here often leave behind a lot of trash and no one felt responsible for it.
Kenya was the first country in the world to ban plastic bags. However, a lot of trash still ends up on the beaches.
To be honest, it's not easy to start something like this in our community. At first, people leave you alone, but gradually you find friends who are willing to help. Today the response is good. We started off with just 2 people. Then more and more people came to join us.
Awareness of environmental issues is increasing, especially among young people. They feel the effects of extreme climate change. For several years in a row, the usual rainy season simply did not occur. Fadili wants to serve his homeland.
Kilifi is an amazing place. People here are very generous and hospitable.
The 29-year-old works as a music producer in a small studio and writes his own songs.
Music is a gift. It runs in the family. My father was a musician and my uncles too. Music is my passion. But after school, I went into the community and asked myself, what can I do? I didn't have the opportunity to study music, but I had the talent.
Fadili was lucky. One day, he met the owner of the studio who supported him, and since then, he has had a permanent job.
I'm so blessed, life so fresh. Tena sina na mtu kesi. Nasaka date, mipango kwa budget. Bade kinachofuata date.
Today, a singer from the area is recording his new song. For once, it's not a love song.
Some people destroy the environment. When we go to the beach, there's so much trash. So we decided to compose something that could make people aware. The environment is not exactly a common theme in songs, but as an artist, it's my duty to reach many people.
Even though he makes money as a sound engineer, writing his own music is his passion.
It's like poetry, like writing a poem whose message you want to translate into music. But for me, the music comes first, then the message.
Wanakuambia bidii la wanga chini kwa chini. More love pewa, more love share, more blessings we pokea. Yeah, maisha ni haya ila mitihani huwa haiko fair. Tukikutana mtaani haweza mini, mtanange dimbani haweza mini, chabo machinji fulani haweza mini, amana demu fulani mkali haweza mini. Tukikutana mtaani basi kamata.
Okay. Yeah, great.
50 kilometers further north in Malindi. It is the rainy season on the Indian Ocean. The chances of decent wind are good today, even if only a few take advantage of it. Sammy Makuzi is one of the very few local kitesurfers in the region.
I was working as a motorcycle taxi driver for about 5 years. Then one day I had a passenger from France, and he taught me kite surfing. He said to me, "You have two options. Either you stay a motorcycle taxi driver and will never earn good money, or you learn kite surfing. Be patient, I'll teach you. You don't have to pay. And you will be able to greatly improve your standard of living after that for your family."
Although Sammy grew up by the sea, he didn't know how to swim. Before he was allowed on the board, he had to learn how to do it first.
My friends in the village laughed at me. They said, "What do you want to accomplish with a sport? That's for white people." I also didn't know where I would get equipment from. But I persevered. And today, I'm a kitesurfing instructor.
For Sammy, it was a long journey.
I remember one time my kite fell into the water and the air escaped. Before I could get out of the water, my teacher saw what had happened and followed me. He found me floating, totally exhausted. I thought I was going to die. But he didn't give me a life jacket or offer any assistance. He just said, "Keep swimming. You can do it. That's part of the lesson."
This is part of the lesson.
Sammy is waiting for one of his students when it suddenly starts raining. The lesson gets cancelled. So far, he works for foreign kite schools. Local surf schools are in short supply.
I want to have my own school soon. The biggest problem will be getting enough equipment together. But slowly, very slowly, I'll be able to do it. I will only employ local instructors at my school. No foreigners. I'll create job opportunities for the community. I want to train young people in particular.
Thanks to his new job, Sammy was able to buy this piece of land and build a solid stone house.
Sometimes, when I come home with injuries, my wife worries a lot. She also fears that I might step on something poisonous and die in my sleep.
Sammy's daughter doesn't want to become a kite surfer. She wants to be a cop.
I really want my family to be able to live a good life. This means a beautiful house, not necessarily a car. And that they can go to school and be able to help themselves in the future, even if they don't support me.
Back in Tiwi, Maisha's family owns a hotel. When they first saw turtles hatching, they wanted to do something to protect the endangered animals. Many young people from the area now work for the turtle police.
And just overall just take pride in just being young Africans, embracing what it means to be a young African person, embracing what it means to be a young African person who is proud of owning our projects in conservation and owning our sound through music and owning our individuality and uniqueness through our diversity as a continent through our culture.
This also includes not leaving research to foreign scientists. 2 students from Kilifi regularly examine the water quality. Environmental protection also ensures the existence of people living here.
We are trying to determine the health of the ecosystem, marine health, by determining the metabarcoding, all the microorganisms in water. And if you see a microorganism, a particular microorganism, that will tell you if the ecosystem is at risk or is healthy.
Their goal? To find out whether the municipality's environmental measures are worthwhile.
We are planning to tell them, this is helping you guys. If you do this, you'll have more fish, more turtles, and then they will have something. Maybe the tourists will come and they will help with taking the tourists to places where they think there are turtles, there are fishes, and stuff.
Now Maisha and her colleagues can report on the birth of the babies down to the very minute. It should happen this evening. For Maisha and her mother Kendi, this is a very special moment. The little ones must not be blinded, otherwise they'll lose their orientation and won't be able to find the sea. In about 25 years, the baby female turtles will come back to lay their own eggs. That's why they should have good and friendly memories of the place of their birth.
Said, how many babies are we expecting?
118.
Yeah, so this nest had 118.
We make sure that the babies are not eaten by crabs and also not by cats. We should also behave quietly and only whisper.
Sitting here, I'm always just curious and thinking which ones will have a long and hopefully a long and happy life and hopefully come back here to eventually also lay their eggs. 1 in 1,000 of these baby turtles survives a long lifetime. Only 1 in 1,000.
But the beauty is when you go swimming here on the reef, there's so many turtles. So
yeah, conservation has to pay off eventually, no?
Conservation is doing well. Yeah, so it's good.
On the clear tip of the Kenyan coast, just before the border with Tanzania, lies Shimoni. Here, you will find an underwater world that is unique to Kenya. The special protection of this marine parks is also thanks to the biologist Tim McClanahan.
I've been working with the Wildlife Conservation Society for 32 years, working primarily on coral reefs, fisheries, climate change. I'm particularly interested in sustainable fisheries as relating to local community.
Tim's main task is to find out exactly which fish species are threatened. To do this, he compares fish populations in protected reefs with those in unprotected reefs.
So what I'll be doing is identifying species, and we'll be seeing which species are in the park and which species are in the fish catch, and that'll allow us to understand how this park connects to providing food for people living in the villages nearby.
Tim marks out an area and then writes down how many of each species he sees. Before Tim started his work here, the surrounding communities didn't even know which fish had recently disappeared.
The bottom line here is that people are losing money in food. The more sustainable you are, often the time, the more diversity you have. So you have two outcomes, one good for communities who are most concerned about food and income, and then you may have maybe a national or an international concern about protecting biodiversity. And so both of those can be answered by this research.
Based on Tim's results, they'll build individual protective measures. Ideally.
The recovery here is not that fast. It's not, some people think, 6 months or what. No, the time is years, not months. The real trick is to get people to agree on the recovery plan and get all people on board, getting all people to participate in that recovery. So that's usually the biggest problem with a lot of environmental problems.
Nyawira Muthiga is the coral expert. She comes regularly to examine the condition of the local coral reefs. Especially now that the water temperature is rising faster and faster, it's a job she takes seriously.
If it's time when there's a lot of high temperatures in the waters, the corals will bleach. Essentially, bleaching is when the coral loses its algae, which gives it its color. So usually corals will be brown, there'll be different kinds of brown, there'll be different kinds of pinks and blues. It's because they have in them algae that helps them actually get a lot of their nutrition from the algae. Not nutrition so much, but from the energy from the algae.
In Kisite National Park, the corals are largely intact. The different corals and algae live in balance.
So the aim of the monitoring is for us to know what's going on and what is affecting the reef, so that we can be able to advise the Park Service on what to do. There's not much they can do about warm water, but there are, if you can reduce pressures, other kinds of pressures, then you can at least give the reef a possibility of recovery.
Setting up no fishing zones, for example. But the coral reef off Shimoni does not owe its condition to any environmental measures.
One of the main reasons is because we have a big rift underwater, a big geological rift. It was created when Mount Kilimanjaro was formed about 30 million years ago. And during that time, this ocean subsided and you have a dramatic rift. A very deep channel was created. And that channel, very close to us, just a few kilometers from here, is as deep as 750 meters. So what that means is these deep, cooler waters are passing by the coast, and they act like a coolant. They cool down the water, and when you get these warm events coming through, they buffer it.
Tim's first dive outside the Special Protection Zone comes to an end.
On that side of the reef, there's more fish, but I think because this is closer to the village, they get pretty heavy fishing right here. So it's pretty typical of a lot of the reefs that I see everywhere. Easy work for me because I know all the species. There's not that many. Yeah, I see them so often.
Tim will look for a better spot with more fish. From Shimoni, we go to Mikindani, a busy suburb of Mombasa. Kezia Olu runs a small fashion boutique here. She is currently working on a crop top, a shoulder-free, airy top.
This is an order. The customer will be here in 20 minutes. This is one of my best sellers. People like it because, on the one hand, it's trendy, and on the other hand, it is very hot in Mombasa. We prefer our clothes to be airy, not so tight. Most women want to be fashionable. Here, designs and clothing are stylish. Even outside of Africa, such pieces are trendy, even if the material and culture are African.
In the meantime, Kezia customer Rose has arrived. She has Kezia sew all her outfits. She wants to go to a wedding with this two-piece suit.
Ever since I was little, I loved designing things. I went to school and university in clothes and earrings that I made myself, and was often asked, "Where did you get that?" It's so unique. And I'd tell them, "Yeah, I made this."
Kezia's fashion label is called Peacock.
Thank you. Welcome.
Peacock ni tausi. Popote alipo huwa
I named it after a bird that you just can't miss. Whenever you wear something I designed, people will notice you.
Hasa ile mavazi yangu huwa natumia kufanya watu wakuwe confident.
I also use my designs to convey confidence to women. For the women here, it's really not easy to succeed. I want to help women believe in each other, in themselves.
Unajiamini na unaweza express vile ulivyo.
I really hope that my fashion will make it onto the international runways. For example, on the catwalks in Paris.
Fashion runways.
Self-determined women like Kezia are still rare in Kenya, but their numbers are increasing, especially in the cities. Back in the Arabuko forest, where things are still very traditional, today is market day. Every Thursday, the butterfly farmers meet up to have their pupae counted and to collect their wages. From here, the butterfly offspring then go to botanical gardens all over the world. Mwaka also has something to sell.
That was a good harvest. I have, for example, giant emperor butterflies, white swallowtails, Constantine swallowtails, and blue emperor butterflies.
3 of these species fetch a good price, and that means a full table in Mwaka's village. Butterfly farms can earn up to €400 a month. That is good money in this region of Kenya. At home, 2 of Mwaka's daughters are preparing lunch for the family.
I have 8 children, 5 girls and 3 boys. The youngest is 7. The oldest is 23. I'm their mother. I have to show them how to cook. Since I go to the forest with my colleagues at 8:30 to catch butterflies, I have assigned cooking days to my daughters.
Even though men have the say in traditional families, Mwaka is the one who, with her income, enables the family to maintain its good standard of living.
I'm very grateful to the Butterfly Initiative. I started a few years ago. Back then, we rarely had enough to eat. Now the children can go to school and we all eat very well.
New day, new look. In Mikindani, fashion designer Kezia is on her way to her favorite fabric store.
This
place is wonderful, but it also has its problems. The houses, for example, are symbolic of how the people live their lives. They are not rich, they're struggling. Most have a hard time in life. It is often hard, especially for girls, in our society.
Many girls become mothers far too early. This is a result of a lack of education.
Show me that brown one over there.
Yesu utatufungia twende nayo.
Kezia also became a mother at a very young age. She knows from experience that many girls can feel discouraged. Kezia supports young girls from the neighborhood, like Sly.
I got to know Kezia shortly after I had my baby, who was just 2 months old. I was so shy. I didn't have the confidence to be in front of other people.
Today, Sly regularly models for Kezia.
She was my mentor.
She is my mentor. She was always there for me when I needed to talk to another woman. She helped me to understand myself because I didn't understand a lot of things.
Sly has founded a girls' soccer group. Apart from training, she educates the women about contraception, menstruation, and sexually transmitted diseases. Kezia is planning a photo shoot with her protégés for today.
You should look like you are going to walk down the catwalk today, or like you are invited to a special event.
The beach of Mikindani is an insider tip among the residents. It's not a white dream beach that attracts tourists. Therefore, the women here are almost undisturbed. It's the perfect place for a photo shoot. For Judy, this is her time in front of a camera. In the evening, Kezia meets up with her son Mohammed. In Mikindani school starts at 6 a.m. and doesn't end until 5 p.m.
I would like to teach my children that they should use their talents to earn money later on. They can achieve their dreams and should not be afraid to dream big. But they should never give up, even if their heart gets broken.
Back in Shimoni, just before the border of Tanzania, scientists Tim and Nyawira are not only colleagues at the Wildlife Society, but have also been a couple for over 45 years.
So, say you love nature, and you find somebody else that loves nature. Immediately there's an attraction. Immediately you've got chemistry. And so that relationship is very permanent.
The two scientists have dedicated their lives together to the sea. They hope that the area around Shimoni will remain intact in the future. Chinese investors are currently planning a large port in the town. The second dive of the day is about to begin. Tim will count fish. How does it work anyway?
What I do is I separate them into groups. So I count one group at a time. Otherwise, it's too many fish to count. But I'm sure I had 5,000 or 6,000 fish in 500 meters squared.
And here in our closure, the Kisiti Marine National Park, it's been closed from fishing from about 1978, so it gives you some indication of what an ecosystem would look like in the absence of fishing.
Here, the protection zone has paid off. Tim disappears among countless fish. After an hour, he has seen enough.
Fantastic. It was fantastic. Just schools and massive schools of fish, all kinds of colors, yellow, blues. Some species I'd almost never see were down there. There was a very big snapper about this big, and it was just fish everywhere. It was very hard to count. I was having a very difficult time, so my brain was overloaded.
Tim and Nyawira are making a significant contribution with their work to ensure that there are recreational areas around Shimoni and that the communities protect their underwater world so that there are enough fish for everyone today and in the future.
We need to recognize that on planet Earth, we share a commons. A common is the atmosphere, it is the water, it is the land, it is the biodiversity we have. All of that is things that we have to think about beyond the economic interests of the moment. We care about our future, we care about our children. Let's come together and decide it's important enough for us to do that thing. And then those are the seeds of change, and people can change.